Hey everybody, this is probably my favorite part, one of my favorite parts, but today we're going to learn how to do iron-on vinyl. We're just going to do a simple t-shirt that says Scentsy on it. Um, so here we go. Okay, so obviously besides your Cricut machine, you're going to need a few more things. Your strong grip mat. Right here I have a 12 by 12. And you'll need an iron. Now my iron is a really good iron. It was passed down and it's almost like a piece of metal. It's probably some kind of fire hazard, I'm not even gonna lie, but it gets hot and it gets the job done. The last thing you'll need is a weeding tool. We are in our Cricut design space. Our last video was about uploading images to the Cricut design space. So let me click over here, upload an image right quick, which I don't see. I was gonna do the Scentsy sign, the Scentsy logo, but let's just choose this one. And in the bottom right-hand corner, click Insert Images. I know you can't see it on the screen. I got my Jesus Family coffee, and here in the bottom right, you can resize it. Now, I tell people to take their strong grip mat if you want to know what size to put it on, and measure it on the t-shirt. So, and I use my strong grip mat as a ruler. Like I literally use it as a ruler. So I want it to measure about here to here, which usually it's about 10 or 11 across. And sometimes it doesn't work out that way. So I'm going to go with 10 across. And so let's go ahead and do that to our screen. At least get the Jesus part 10 across. It's hard to get both, measure both and get them both, because some are tall, some are wide logos or whatnot. Let's move this over to the 0. 10, and it looks like, so it'll go about 10 across, looks like it will go about 9 down. Now, remember you have to click that it's cutting. So there's the infamous gray with the black outline, so now you know we're ready to go. Now you're going to click Make It in the top right hand corner. Now, if you will notice, you probably did notice, but there's certain things that can happen when you go from the last page to this page. Sometimes it can change it to where, you know, I had it right on 10 over here and see how, well, it probably was before I moved it just now, but it can end up on the second page for whatever reason or the other, a little bit further over or right here a little bit further down. So it's important to pay attention to that because you might only have cut on your vinyl paper to right at the 9. And if you cut, see, look at it right here, it would have cut off your F's. So the same thing is if you have 2 images together, there's one time I put 2 images in here. I put the Scentsy logo and then I put like an arrow down here. Well, when I clicked it over to this page, the arrow, instead of being in the middle how I had it, it was straight right here. It had lined up right here. So then it was off center. Which that's nothing you can't fix. You can just cut them separately right along here once the vinyl prints and then just iron them on separately. But you don't want to have to do that. That's like an extra step. But just in case you do that. Now this logo in particular, it's already bunched up together like you would want it. There are some logos that I'm not thinking in Canva and that I make on my own, and like instead of the family being right here close to it like I like, the family's like way down here, and then the coffee part's way down here. So you've taken up the whole 12 by 12 mat and you've wasted a whole bunch of vinyl, and that's something you don't want to do. So if that ever happens, and you've wasted a whole bunch of vinyl and it's already printed, and you don't want to make it look like your words are like forever apart on your shirt, and you say, hey, I want them close like this, just cut along the lines, you know, cutty, and then you can iron it on separately. With that said, we're on this page. Now, one of the important parts is to make sure that you click this little button right here. This is mirror. You will always click this for iron-ons every time, or else your letters are going to come out backwards. So I've done that too. So always make sure to click mirror for iron-on before you go. Your material size is already preset to 12 by 12. If you were doing something bigger than that, I've got the 12 by 24 mat, which I only use for my card decals. So I'm leaving it 12 by 12 because that's the mat that I have. So we've got the mirror iron on, and then in the bottom left corner, you're going to click right corner, sorry, you're going to click continue. So you can see the screen up here. It's finding your Cricut machine. If by any reason this right here says you can't find it, sometimes when I go so long without using my Cricut machine, my Bluetooth can't find it. So just do as simple as turn it off, your Cricut machine, turn it off and turn it back on, and then all of a sudden it should pop up. I don't know why all electronics, it's like it works when you turn it off and turn it back on. But anyways, so first, set, that means adjust the smart set dial on your machine to the desired material. So you've got the little turn knob on your thing, on your Cricut machine. Fast mode, turn on to cut and write up to 2 times faster. I don't do it on the fast mode because the faster it goes, the less accurate it is. Now, if it was something really, really simple, that would work, but I just try and not even take the chances. So I just let it go a little bit slower. So now, we're ready to load. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to clear my work area and I'm going to lay my mat down. And I remember that I wanted to do about 10 by 10. It was a little less than that, but I'm going to cut 10 by 10 just in case. So it's hard to tell on this, but this is the back part. The shiny part is the color part. So let me get another one that's a little bit more, has a little bit more color to it so you can see it. So here's more iron-on vinyl. Of course, this is the letter part and the backing is white. So you're going to want, this is the second important part on iron-on vinyl, other than remembering to hit the iron-on button, is you're going to want the color down. If you're doing everything else like coffee cups and car decals, of course it's a different kind of vinyl, but the color will be up. So I just had to pop that one out so I could show you, make sure you could see the difference. But anyways, so I needed it to be about 10 by 10. So I'm just going to line it up on there, make sure I get it as accurate on the corners as possible. And I'm going to press it down. It is a grip adhesive mat, so press it down. I'm going to unroll it to about 10. Now you can either take it off and cut it, or you can just cut it just like this. So I'm going to do that right quick. Don't laugh at my little Cricut line here. I was trying to make sure I got a lot, and then I ended up getting off track. But the important part is I have enough vinyl, so I'm just going to go ahead and make sure it's all pressed down on the mat, and I'm going to get ready to load it into my Cricut. If you look back at your screen, you will see that we've already completed number 1. We made sure our dial was on vinyl. Now we're going to go to number 2, load. If you look at your Cricut machine, this button right here should be flashing. That means it's ready to load. So now you're going to take your vinyl mat, and again, I'm just going to press it one more time and make sure. There we go. So you're going to put it in there and hold it firmly. And don't push it or force it in, but just kind of hold it firmly and then press the flashing arrows. And then you can let go, and that's how it loads. And then once you load it, you are going to look for the button. It's right beside the arrows. It looks just like this. Once this starts flashing, then you're ready to go. And it'll say right here, ready to cut. So once you see that and this is flashing, go ahead and hit this button right here that is on your Cricut machine. And you can see, you can probably hear it going in the background, you can see once it's cutting, it will kind of have a little graph here, and it'll go, and it'll tell you how much left you have for cutting. So it hadn't even turned dark gray yet, so I could tell it's going to take a second to get it printed. There it goes. So I'm going to give that a second to print, and then I will we'll see the other half. We're getting to the good part. So once it is done, it will have the little arrows. It'll be flashing again. That means it's ready to unload. So what I do is I hold the mat, and then I press the arrow. And then it comes out. If you don't hold the mat, it's going to like spit it out, and it'll be all over the floor. So now that we're done with that, this is when I grab my weeder tool, and this is what I use it for. So let me take this off right quick. It's a lot easier to see. This is just because it's white, but it's hard to see the letters on here. So you're going to go to the back. I use my weeder tool to get the vinyl off the plastic part. So I just grab a corner because I don't want to mess up my image. I stab it in a little bit and it separates the plastic part most of the time. This might take a second. It can be a pain. So it separates the plastic part from the vinyl. So you're going to separate your vinyl and pull it off slowly. I've done this one before. Good rule of thumb is to iron your shirt first, and that just gets out all the moisture. So I'm just going to iron the area that I know I'm going to use. I have my iron set to cotton, and again, if you want to make if you're making tons of t-shirts, if I were you, I'd get a heat press. So now once you iron that, another rule of thumb is I usually go about 2 inches above the armpit. So make sure you get that in the middle and stick that down like so. And what do you know? Looks like I forgot something. Voila. I knew it. So back to where you're going, and for some reason I like to stand up because I feel like it gives me a better gauge of what I'm doing. So about, well, maybe about 2 inches above. I need more workspace. Then to iron on, I literally have a piece of scrap fabric that looks like it's seen better days that I got from the fabric store that I've just had lying around. So I've cleaned up spilled coffee with it, everything. So lay it on there and then just press it really good with the iron. And it should, looks like I have one hanging out right here, but. And then because I have a fire hazard iron, I don't want to burn down the place, so I kind of iron it and then I give it a second before I give it another go. So I got ahead of myself and I went ahead and peeled it and forgot that I wasn't recording, but just make sure you get it and you peel it back really, really slowly. If you see the letters aren't coming off on the shirt, then carefully lay it back down, press it back down, put the cloth back on top and iron it and press it really hard again. I try and let mine cool off a little bit for about a minute or so before I start to peel, because if it's still really, really hot, it's still going to stick to the plastic backing. And voila, here is my shirt that I made. I'm so excited to wear it. I think that's why I even got a Cricut to begin with, is so I can do my own iron-on stuff, because I love t-shirts and I love them by like the barrel. So I wanted to be able to make tons and tons of t-shirts and be Scentsyfied everywhere I go, because it's important to brand yourself wherever you go, because people aren't always going to know that you sell Scentsy, believe it or not. Or they might just think that you don't sell it anymore. So I hope that iron-on tutorial helped. If you guys have any questions, please feel free to comment below and I will get them answered as soon as possible. Thank you.